Many of you know that I've taken up swimming this year as a form of exercise that I can kind of do and which my orthopedist approves of. This is a very small Venn diagram. So really swimming is my only option at this time. So that's where you'll find me most days for some period of time, depending on my schedule and what my joints are willing to do. I prefer lane 8 at the Vaughan Aquatic Center. And this is the lane that is just deep enough that it comes up to my shoulders. So really pretty much submerged, but I can stand at any time. This is an adjustment from my previous favorite, lane 9, which now feels inexcusably shallow. Lane 7 is just okay, although I swear the extra depth requires significantly more strength. I like lane 8. I especially like it when I get there early enough that they've not turned on all of the overhead lights, and even more when that time coincides with absolutely no swimming lessons or swim team practices taking place anywhere in the pool. I wear water dams in my ears because I don't like to get water in them, and goggles on my eyes because chlorine is horrible. I don't wear a swim cap because I don't like the pressure on my head, but I do braid my hair to keep it out of my face and treat it to a veritable conditioner soup daily to recover. I keep my giant Hello Kitty stainless steel tumbler in the car with ice water so I can drink on the way and on the way home. There are still more details in my swim routine and prep, believe it or not. But I think you get the point. You see, a lot goes into this task. Swimming is, in fact, the last sport I would have chosen as daily exercise. I really only managed to master one stroke as a kid, the training version of the backstroke that I don't even think they teach anymore. And it is the one that I rely on to get my heart the exercise that it seems to require. 1,200 yards of elementary backstroke. That is not the length I began at, and it does give me some satisfaction that I could now perform that feat more easily and faster each week. And still, it is never easy. Because being in the water is not easy for me. That doesn't mean I can't enjoy it. It just means that it's not easy. Not in the pool, not in the lake, and especially not in the ocean. Creeks are okay. And I think my discomfort and the limitation that prevented me from learning more and different ways to swim stemmed from a boating accident I was in when I was about 5 years old. When I was young, my father took an interest in sailing. And while he and I spent a great deal of time over the years working on the boat, I don't remember being in the water on it very often, particularly not after that singularly awful day when, during an unexpected storm, we capsized on the Chesapeake Bay. I remember shrinking against the side of the seat of the boat as it tipped and the sail eventually touched the water. I also remember my brother holding me, the youngest and only non-swimmer, out of the water with his feet while he held on to the side of the boat. I don't remember what happened after that, and family stories about the day all seem to stop with my brother's heroic adolescent feat. I do know that I continue to feel the depth of water with a keen sensitivity. So I like lane 8, where I can submerge easily but must choose to do so, and where I can feel as though I'm actually doing something when I swim. I like my routine that allows me to summon my adult self to the task of swimming. And I actually like going to the pool in spite of all of that effort. I bring my baggage to the pool, but I do indeed go to the pool. And I join so many other people who are there for different reasons. There are swim teams training. There are the athletes who appear to be training for something very intense. There are the kids learning to swim. There are my favorite group, the adults learning to swim. There are the water Zumba folks, the fitness fanatics, and those recovering from so many different things. We all come with baggage, but we come to the pool. I realized one day that as I was swimming my favorite fantastic backstroke, I was lifting my head ever so slightly, not allowing it to simply be in the water, protecting myself from running into the side or being caught by surprise by not seeing something. Who knows what specific unseen threat caused this particular maneuver. I do know that it actually hurt. Holding my head this way caused tension in my already overburdened neck and shoulders. So I shifted my position. I began to check in, to notice how I was holding my head, and to work toward consciously relaxing those muscles, allowing the water to take some of the weight of my fear. I worked toward having faith in the science of buoyancy, faith in my ability to pay enough attention to avoid the edge, faith in my safety in this blessed hour of my ridiculous spiritual and physical practice. And it is better. It is a better way to swim. It is better for my body, and it is better for my mind, consciously giving it the signal that it's okay to be fully present to what is actually happening in the moment, rather than scanning the horizon for potential disaster. I did hit my head once. And even with that, it's still better. Why am I telling you this long story about my own battles with anxiety and exercise? I'm sharing it because I see myself do something similar in other situations, other contexts, and I see other people do it too. I see us holding back, staying on the edge when we could be in the mix, dipping our toes when being immersed could be deeply satisfying. I see us skimming the surface of our activities, our engagements, our associations, forgetting that all of these things are what make up our lives. I see us holding out on being truly present to what we are doing in our lives out of some sort of desire to protect ourselves, or out of some practiced stance of distance that we wear like armor. I see us allowing ourselves to bypass faith and trust and living lives that are smaller and likely less comfortable or fulfilling than they could be. And as that kid being held out of the water by her big brother's feet, I understand it. But I also know what we sacrifice when we choose not to trust, when we choose not to have faith. in where we are and what we have built around us. I saw myself do it with General Assembly. We'll talk later about the details of General Assembly. But I want to share that I noticed myself holding back through so much of that multi-day process of discussing and voting. I found myself allowing my annoyance at being online and the tedium of democratic procedure, oh, that's real, get in the way of appreciating the lengths that my colleagues went to make it easier to enjoy them, to have faith in them, and to trust the process we were engaged in. I allowed my boredom and cynicism to get in the way of letting the ways that our interactions were handled bolster my trust. I heard ugly words during our debates. We'll talk more about it later. And I didn't give enough attention to the ways that our moderators responded. We had something in place for misinformation and hateful words. I saw signs of dissent and conflict and did not marvel at the fact that we were all still talking to each other. I kept my heart guarded and used the distance of remote gathering to stay out of the water. I protected myself with my old standbys and kept my safe and unfulfilling distance with plenty of snacks. And that made me tired. It also made me hungry for the fire that our shared tradition has lit in me in the past. It made me sad and impatient. And I wish I could say that I made a conscious choice, but I suspect that it was more the difficulty of the year that has passed that finally broke my resolve and let me sink into the final service of General Assembly and to weep with gratitude during the sermon of Reverend Molly Hausch Gordon of the UU Church of Columbia, Missouri. God bless UU ministers in the state of Missouri. Despite all of my worst intentions, I finally let my head, my brain, my anxiety, my internal analyst rest in the water of my faith in our shared living tradition. And friends, the water was fine. I did not sink. My heart did not break, except to break open a little. And I got fed. But I tell you this, it could have just as easily gone the other way. I could have just as easily heard a good word that didn't feed me. Or if I had decided to engage more deeply during the conversation over the proposal to make a statement of support for our trans and non-binary siblings, if I had allowed my heart to be fully present for those moments, it would have broken sooner and harder. I would have been hurt. And that's the risk, isn't it? That's the risk of allowing ourselves to fully engage. I want to be clear about that because I'll never tell you that you cannot get hurt anywhere in the world. even here in our beloved and sacred space. You most certainly can. But I can tell you that never taking the risks that would put your heart in that position will make your life very small indeed. And here in our congregation and in our larger UU denomination is a place where you can practice, where you can build the muscles of faith and trust. You can practice taking the risks that might break your heart with the assurance that if that happens, we will do what we can do to make it right, to make amends, and to change things that need changing to reduce everyone's risk. That's the thing about who we are as UUs with our new bylaws that put love at the center. We can never claim that we will always get it right. Some of my colleagues might tell you something different. They're younger than I am. We can never claim that we will always get it right. But if you are willing to really be here with us, you can be part of the group of people working so very hard to be worthy of your faith and your trust. You can join the lifeguards of humanity, to stretch my original metaphor as far as I possibly can. You can also talk to us about how we can make it better for you. Because, friend, we want you here. Your whole self, all of who you are. And I know that can feel risky. One day when I went to the pool, my beloved lane 8 was occupied, as were all of the kind of okay lanes. And I thought, well, I've been at this for a while. I bet I can swim in lane 3, which happened to be open. So I walked over and jumped directly into lane 3 and somehow managed to forget everything I have ever known about jumping into deep water. I did not either hold my nose or exhale through it. So water, of course, rushed in and I came up gasping and choke spitting, grabbing for the side of the pool to steady myself. The lifeguard made quick eye contact. A perceptible but silent, "You okay?" I gave him a bedraggled thumbs up. And as I collected myself, I saw someone leaving lane 8. I resumed my swim in the place I belonged. And as I got in, I reminded myself I was safe enough to put my head in the water. We come with our baggage, but we come to the pool. John Donahue reminds us, the work of holiness is not about perfection or niceness. It is about belonging. The mild magnetic of implicating others in the presence. This is not about forging a relationship with a distant God, but about the realization that we are already within God. And friends, that water is fine. It is as emotionally safe as we currently know how to make it here in UUCD, and we will always work to make that even more true, even more palpable, even more inclusive. We invite you to rest your head and feel the support of all that we are and all that we have built together. If you find you're in where the water's too deep, we'll watch for you. We'll look for a signal. We'll follow your lead. We'll help you pick a better lane or a better time. And we'll remind you that this water, our shared holy space, and the connection that we build can hold you too, if you let us. May it be so. Amen. In that spirit, please rise in body or spirit and join me in